G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza and this is a video tutorial on painting detailed hair in Photoshop. This video, along with several others, is part of a tutorial set in which I do several videos covering the painting of one picture in particular, which we're going to be working on. So if you want to look at the other video tutorials based on that picture, you can click the annotation on the left, which will lead to that painting in Photoshop tutorial set, or the link in the description. Or you can click the annotation on the right to go to the speed painting video of the whole thing being painted start to finish just over a couple of minutes, so you can see how the whole thing happened. Jumping straight into it, I'm going to show you what we've got to work with so far. I've got several layers. At the bottom I've got my skin, mostly shaded. Over that I've got shirt, then eyes, and then now we're working with the hair layer. Now I know it looks somewhat shaded already and it might feel like starting partway through already working on the hair. We're not going to be necessarily doing the whole shading thing, we're going to be doing the detailed thing to make it look like hair, if that makes sense. So I'll explain what I've done so far, and if you want to see in further detail you can check out the video in the Painting in Photoshop tutorial set. What I've got is a basic base layer, which is this sort of greeny yellow khaki color. On top of that I've got a bunch of shading I did with a soft, large and low opacity brush. On top of that, a smaller, soft, low opacity brush with a darker color doing a little more of the detail, and then on top of that a similar sort of thing but with a lighter color. So this is the base that we're going to be starting off with. Now we're going to be using clipping masks in a slightly weirder sort of way. We're going to make a new layer not connected to the previous clipping mask, and we want a really small brush. Now something around, because this is quite a large picture, this is probably about 3000 pixels wide, I think 3 or maybe even 4 would work well. Okay, so now that I've got my brush ready to go, I want to select the hair color that I want to start off working with, and we'll go with something lighter, and we're just going to go through and add these really short, sharp strokes. Okay, and we draw them as individual hairs. We work from the base where the roots come out. We want to create a flow with the motion of the hair that we've set up. So this, if I were to draw a few strands to follow, this kind of goes back here. This all goes back like that. This goes across to the side. Whoops. Like this. And around. So I'm just doing a few longer strands so you can see the direction I'm going to be following it in. And it's also useful for me, I suppose, to have these long strands to follow along to. Now it doesn't matter that it doesn't look great straight away, even when I finish doing all the lots of little lines like I've started up here. So I'm going to speed up the process and you'll be able to see very soon what it looks like when I've completed that. Now that I've finished drawing the lines, you can see that it creates this overall rough sort of texture on the hair. So we're going to be going through and making it mix well now. So I'm going to be adding a new layer, alt-clicking the line between those two layers so that the layer above is now a clipping mask. I'm going to go through and select a more mid-tone of that hair color, bring up the brush size, lower the hardness and bring down the opacity. And then I go around the edges as to where the dark areas of the layered of the shaded hair underneath is, and I'll be painting through inside the strokes
in a clipping mask, and it will kind of merge them. It'll make them look like, you know, part of the same thing. So it'll be shaded in similar areas, and then we'll be able to go through later and add highlights. And you'll see very quickly how just adding these low opacity, soft brush strokes, it really softens the impact of those once hard lines that we just drew, and makes it part of the image, making it this texture that's, you know, part of it. So now after we've gone through and done that, and you look at the whole thing, and it's kind of overall much softer than it was a moment ago. So we're going to be going through now and adding highlights. So adding a new layer and connecting that to the clipping mask. I'm going to be selecting my mid-tone and bringing it up to a lighter color, and then just painting around in the middle areas. You can see how with parts of the edges shaded to darken with the shading behind, and bringing up much lighter colors for highlights, it makes it look like there are these strands on the hair reflecting light and catching, you know, the different lighting, so that it brings out the texture, but it doesn't make it obnoxious. You know, this is a pretty simple method to making hair stand out, but at the same time feel organic. And also remembering to do the edges, by the way, where I made sure to have the rim lighting. You want to go along there and make sure that they're accurately highlighted with the hair accents as well. So with that being done, we've got our final piece, and I don't want to forget the eyebrows. And yeah, you can see that in a really short amount of time, we were able to create a fairly believable, simple hair texture in the hair. Now, I didn't go through the basic shading, and if you wanted to go through how I did the basic shading, there's another tutorial connected to this, so make sure to just go back to the start of the video and find the rest of the tutorial set. So you can see in the end how those sharp, thin lines that we drew can end up making a texture that's fairly believable as a simple hair texture.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy my videos. You can download the reference files from this tutorial by clicking the link in the description. And remember to share any art, animation or game you make on Newgrounds.com. Until next time, see you later.